Level 1 Restoration Behind the Scenes. Today we're out here in the alley with a 1970 Ram Air 4 Judge convertible. This car came to us early this year, and it is what we consider an older restoration fluff. So the car is still too good to restore, all over again. It's obviously a really nice looking car, but there were just a number of things that were done to it that needed to be brought up to more of a current spec as far as restoration standards go. And that's always improving and moving and things like that. So it's no big deal. It's not a knock on any of these cars that were restored. It's just a good idea to bring them in and get them up to looking as good as they can look. So I'll just go through a few of the things that we did to this car while it was here in our care and show you how we improved upon it. All right, a couple of things we did to the exterior of this car. We sand and buffed the whole entire car. We ended up repainting the entire Endura bumper on this. It's pretty typically had cracks in it. It's pretty easy to crack those. So we stripped that down and painted it. Should hold up now for a really long time. We installed a new top on this car, and we correctly installed the top where this binding is a crushed material, and this header piece has a very specific shape to it, and it's made of crushed vinyl material as well. We repolished all the stainless on this car, which isn't a whole lot on this car. The top of the dash was painted just a gloss blue, totally wrong, and so we got that little light textured finish back into that dash the way it ought to have been in the first place. On the interior of the car, we re-dyed the seat belts and had the labels sewn back on there, so that freshened that up quite a bit. There's a few other things, miscellaneous little things we did to the interior of the car, but really just a good deep clean, and the seatbelt detail is mostly what the interior consisted of. Now let's take a look under the hood. So under the hood of this car, we made the master cylinder black. We completely replaced the radiator. Really normal for these cars not to have the right radiator, especially if they were restored 20 years ago or so. People just put a replacement radiator in there. It had the angled radiator that would be clearly a replacement, or like a 72, a newer car would have. We freshened up the paint on the engine. We cleaned up the factory aluminum intake manifold, rebuilt the alternator, and things like, I think I had to get an alternator for this that had the right two-letter code on it. A lot of just general detail. Repainted the radiator support. Another big item on the outside of this car is this car had 15-inch wheels, which that is really completely wrong. I know people like to do that, but man, for me, it looks exactly right with its correct G70 14 tires. We had to go out and get the correct for 1970 wheels, which I believe is a JT in the case of this car, and a set of the Goodyear Polyglass tires. This car, in case you're wondering, is Atoll blue, and then it has that blue, orange, and pink Judge stripe, which is the recommended stripe color for an Atoll blue car. Really a striking, great looking car. In addition to a little bit of fluff under the trunk, we have I think we did a windshield in this car, we put the correct date on there, and things like that. So those are just some of the things that would be normal on an older restoration fluff. Another item that we did do, which is worth mentioning, is we cleaned up the exhaust manifolds and got them squared up so they didn't leak, and coated those with a coating that we have. For anyone that's curious about all of the options on this car, or any of that information, I have the invoice here, the Pontiac Motor Division invoice. It was invoiced on May 17th of 1970. I believe it's Wild Pontiac on Moreland Boulevard in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It's pretty cool. So it has the Judge package, turbo hydro, so turbo 400, G70 14 tires, an 8-track tape stereo, has a remote mirror, a console, power disc brakes, floor mats rear speed gauge adapter. So these cars all had 390 gears or more. 433 is an optional gear. So that took a little adapter for the speedometer. It has a luggage lamp, door edge guards, the Ram Air 4 engine, safety track heavy duty rear end, which you would have had to have gotten, a stereo radio. Sometimes you just have a stereo 8-track, but this has a stereo radio as well. Mirror, visor, vanity mirror on the passenger side, steering wheel formula, power steering variable ratio, mats for the front, glass ray or a soft ray windshield only, springs and shocks ride and handling, which is almost standard, and a lamp for the underhood. So the grand total of this car, the suggested retail, I guess, is $4,365.37. So that's pretty cool, and that's what this particular Ram Air 4 Judge is all about. It's roughly 1 of 5. We're pretty close to being done with this one for now, and we really appreciate you tuning in. If you like these videos, please, like them and comment if you have any interesting fun facts, or if you might know this car or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.